Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode number 15. Sorry, of the CheckX series. If you don't know, and if you're new here, the CheckX series is basically me, your host Ivan, tracking everything that Elon's doing on X, what he's talking about, and today we're gonna talk about what he posted yesterday on Friday, December 12th. 2025, and he posted about 60 in the mid 60s in terms of how many times. Maybe actually no, I think the number was actually 62 times. He posted 62 times today on X, and also about I think 35 of those were about politics, but we are actually starting to get down into like the 50s area in terms of how many times he's posted. I mean, again, I've done episodes where he's posted like 30, but anyway, we're gonna get straight into this. Starting off, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about Tesla and a little bit of vehicle architecture. So starting off, Elon agreed that the overwhelming requirement for success in self-driving is performance software, not extra hardware, stating that anyone adding extra hardware to compensate for bad software is doomed. And also, he replied bully to the assessment of software being the key requirement for success. And also, he laughed at a photo shared of an airliner designed by advanced driver assistant system experts, which featured many extra components. And also, Elon was noted to be laughing off Rivian as a competitor because they plan to use 3 sensors: camera, LiDAR, and radar for self-driving, while Tesla uses cameras only, which really shows how far ahead of the game and how genuinely intellectual Tesla is and the Tesla team. That's honestly crazy. Cameras and LiDAR, we've seen that before on Waymo and stuff like that, and radar, I mean, that's just, I feel like that's a little much, honestly. Because again, there's been many things proved already that you only need cameras to have a full self-driving vehicle. And Tesla's already proved that so many times, obviously, and people still just don't think that's true, I guess. And again, pretty short segment here, so all these are going to be relatively short. Next up, we're going to move on to SpaceX and Starlink. Starting off, Elon laughed at a joke suggesting that when SpaceX goes public, its stock will literally go to the moon. And also, he reposted astronaut Peggy Whitson's, excuse me if I don't know if it's Whitson's or Whitson's, so excuse me, but Peggy Whitson's reflection on watching the Earth go by from the cupola during a long-duration mission. And also, Elon reposted an update regarding SpaceX setting a new launch-to-launch record, 50 hours and 44 minutes, with the goal of launching from the same pad multiple times a day, noting that physics is not the only constraint. So really, you see so much improvement there also, which is great. And Starlink, he reposted news that Scandinavian Airlines will be the first European airline to operate Airbus A320 families aircraft equipped with Starlink connectivity, which is great seeing another airline join in the mix. And also in terms of moving on, Elon agreed that raising capital for scaling Starlink and AI is the most important thing that SpaceX can do for Mars, as paying for the Mars mission has already been the hardest part. And also, Elon commented, sounds promising regarding South Africa changing a law that previously required foreign companies to give 30% of their business to Black South Africans instead of allowing them to meet the 30% rule by spending money on building internet for rural schools or training people. And again, moving on here, not too much. He posted on the other thing. I was thinking he's only about 5 or 6 times, maybe 7. Anyway, moving on to XAI and Grok, as we pretty much talk about every single episode. Starting off, Elon reposted and responded, true, to the statement that AI is a mirror reflecting the intentions of those who wield it, which we also talked about yesterday, and humans determine whether it serves destruction or human flourishing. And also, he reposted that people trust Grok answers more because it is the only AI built to be maximally truth-seeking and close to the center. And also, Elon noted that Grok 4.1 Fast took the #1 spot on the Super Search leaderboard, which is pretty crazy. And also, Elon agreed 100% with the notion that if a hackathon doesn't smell, the participants are wasting valuable creation time on personal hygiene. And also, he reposted a need for exceptional experts to become AI tutors at XAI. To help push Grok to artificial general intelligence, or AGI. And also, in terms of also moving on, he referred to the convergence of Tesla AI chips, SpaceX satellites, and XAI's Grok AI as bringing AI data centers into space. And also, Elon acknowledged and replied, "Yep." Being named one of the Time Magazine's 2025 persons of the year as one of the architects of AI. He also agreed, I agree, with the suggestion that X should expand its chat service by giving each user an x.com email address, which is pretty interesting. And that pretty much wraps up that. We're going to move on to politics, culture, and migration stuff, so obviously get into the boring parts. No, I'm just joking. I don't know why I say the same pun every time. I'm not funny. Anyway, starting off, in response to California Governor Gavin Newsom's office commenting on his daughter, Elon replied that he assumed that they were referring to his son Xavier, who has a tragic mental illness caused by the evil woke mind virus, and asserted his daughters love him very much. And also, he called Governor Newsom Noam the cruel Doge designer. And also, Elon reposted a statement affirming that there are only two genders, male and female. And also, he agreed, yes, that the set of ideas referred to as wokeness has significantly set the West back, referring to Western civilization, by the way, just to clarify that. And also, Elon also agreed that wokeness is communism rebranded, a descendant of Marx's theories. And also, he stated that it is time for this fever dream to end in response to an extensive list of explanations offered by transgender activists to differentiate a trans woman from a man in a dress and makeup. And also, Elon replied, "What the?" To a storybook, presented to the second and third graders that depicts Santa Claus as a gay black man married to a white man. And also, he reacted wow to the display of cognitive dissonance for a student who believed that black students have been lynched on multiple campuses for a shooting, a claim that was unsupported by evidence. And also, he commented, "No kidding," on breaking news that Black Lives Matter executive director was charged with wire fraud and money laundering. That's just a coincidence, I guess you could say. Moving on, he replied, putting the tard in libtard, to the claim that leftists incorrectly reduce fascism as to an aesthetic because they refuse to read actual fascist literature or philosophy, which, again, this has been something, even I realized it buttload of time ago, honestly. It's just, I don't know. Anyway, Elon also agreed, sounds pretty cool, with the idea of making gigantic Greek statues the size of skyscrapers. And also, he reposted the sentiment that nobody should feel guilty for their race because they are individuals first. And also, Elon reacted, wow, to finding that white newborns died at a higher rate when attended to by black doctors, which contradicted and was withheld from a study that falsely claimed biased white doctors were giving substandard care to black mothers. And also, he agreed correct that the estimated 13% collapse of the white population in America over 15 years is staggering and indicates the great replacement is happening, which is not, again, we even talked about last episode how white people are pretty much becoming a minority, and again, white people being not a minority isn't necessarily meant to be like something that will overthrow another religion or another race or something like that. It's just showing excuse me, it's just showing there's some conflict, some things going on, obviously. And anyway, moving on, Elon stated that South Africa now has more anti-white laws that apartheid had anti-black laws, which he called deeply wrong, advocating for the goal of no race-based laws. By the way, I said that word entirely wrong. I do not know how to pronounce that. It is a very weird spelled word. Maybe I'm just dumb. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. He agreed true with the assertion that the media is an enemy of white people, referencing the contrast in media coverage for a white autistic student stabbed by a black student compared to the lack of outrage over a white woman severely burnt in a chemical attack by a black man in Savannah. And also, Elon commented that incentives explain outcomes, warning that free money from the U.S. taxpayer is like a giant magnet attracting illegals, which will cause the collapse of America if allowed. And also, moving on, he agreed that the Overton window opens wider when the West acknowledges that real grapes are worse than perceived racism. And also, he replied with 2 exclamation marks to the story of a Polish student brutally, violently, and fatally wounded by a Venezuelan migrant in Paris. Elon also agreed, bullseye, that certain countries have high rates of violence because the people there are violent, and that importing an entire population to save them will not work because they are violence. They are the violence. And also he agreed, yes, that there will be a reckoning regarding the 500% increase in sexual assaults in Sweden. And also he replied with 2 exclamation marks to the news of an African migrant arrested in Italy for kidnapping and torturing a young woman. And he also replied with 2 exclamation marks to the horrifying story of a man on a sinking migrant boat raping and strangling a teenage girl to death after watching his wife and daughter drown. And he also agreed, saying that it is hard to be mad at stupid politicians when millions of people keep voting them into power. And also regarding a rejected congressional map in Indiana State, Elon asked, what do they plan to approve? And also regarding photos of the Big Jeffrey, meeting with Steve Bannon, Elon commented that it is only a matter of time before Bannon goes back into prison. And also in response to Taiwan's population decline, Elon noted that population collapse continues to accelerate. And yeah, there's a couple other things here, just like gaming and entertainment, that Elon mentioned. And just one thing about healthcare, which is how Elon agreed exactly with the argument that declaring healthcare is a right. Declaring healthcare a right is a sneaky way to force doctors into servitude, arguing that true rights protect freedom and advocating for the return of free market in American healthcare. But yeah, it's more miscellaneous, kind of just game stuff, and just talking about game of the year and stuff like that. And yeah, that pretty much wraps up episode number 15. We are halfway to 1 month of this series. I would say give a pat on my back, but I didn't really keep this in a row. I did miss one day, but I kind of made up for it. It doesn't matter. Point is, that pretty much wraps up episode number 15 of the CheckX series. I hope to see you guys tomorrow. If you guys enjoyed this video, obviously I hope to see you guys tomorrow, because if this is your first time watching me, you can also go back and watch my other episodes if you would like. And I will see you guys tomorrow in episode 16, I hope. Yeah, see ya.